Ontario's premier is congratulating a man in the Greater Toronto area who shot an alleged home invader. Police say no charges will be laid against the homeowner. The gun was legally owned, properly stored. When referring to the alleged home invaders, Doug Ford said, as far as he's concerned, these guys need to be shot.
As for the person that was defending his family, he was a legal gun owner, it was stored properly, congratulations. Yeah, I'm glad you shot the guy. Teach us the rest of these robbers, and I encourage everyone out there that's a legal gun owner. Someone's going to come in and try to kill you and kill your family. Remember, it was just last week, Jamie, one guy got shot because he was trying to protect his kids. Well, you know, these guys, they need to be shot, as far as I'm concerned. They need to rot in jail for the rest of their lives. Congratulations for shooting this guy. Should have shot him a couple more times, as far as I'm concerned.
CBC's Lorenda Redop has been following this story, joins us from the legislature, Queen's Park in Toronto. And Lorenda, what else did Ford say?
Well, you're right. We don't hear this every day. We have heard definitely that tough on crime message from Premier Doug Ford, but not that, especially what you heard at the end there. I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about this case. This goes back to, it was early Tuesday morning, so basically the middle of the night. It was in Vaughan, a city just north of Toronto. And police there, the York Regional Police, they actually have video of what happened. You can see that there are these alleged home invaders that are going into a home. At least one of them is carrying a gun. And what police say happened is that there was this resident, the homeowner, who is a legal gun owner, who took out his gun and fired some shots. Then that person is not going to be charged, but another person, one of those alleged home invaders, is facing multiple charges. And this is somebody who police found in hospital, is now still in hospital, recovering, but under police custody there. And we heard more from Premier Doug Ford as well, offering support for the homeowner, but also criticizing the federal government over gun laws.
I have an idea. Rather than wasting hundreds of millions of dollars going after legal gun owners, why don't you spend that hundreds of millions of dollars going after the bad guys? You know, they always want to protect the bad guys. The judges always want to protect the Charter of Rights. How about the Charter of Rights of the people to keep them safe rather than always protecting these criminals?
And we also heard from him more criticisms about judges. He has multiple times referred to weak-kneed judges. We heard that again today. And I want to tell you a little bit more about that man who is facing charges. This is somebody who already had a criminal record and was wanted in another case and was on probation at the time.
And tell us about some of the reaction to what the Premier said.
Well, no doubt with those comments, of course, there's lots of reaction here. We're hearing from lawyers, including the Criminal Lawyers Association. I spoke with one of their lawyers who was a bit careful, wanted to be careful not to minimize the fear that someone such as that homeowner would be feeling, but also said that the Premier's comments went too far.
Certainly the penalty for break and enter is not the death penalty. And so it's encouraging a cavalier attitude towards the killing of another human being is not a message that our organization endorses or supports.
And we also heard from the NDP opposition leader. Take a listen.
Telling people to shoot each other or to carry pepper spray, to me, it seems like more nonsense, frankly, very irresponsible nonsense.
And we heard her talk about pepper spray. This is just the latest time that Premier Doug Ford has recently talked about self-defense. And his government recently wrote to the federal government calling on them to legalize pepper spray if it's going to be used in cases of self-defense. Ian?
CBC's Lorenda Redop in Toronto. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm interested to hear Cash Heed's reaction to Ford's comments. Heed's been a police chief. He was BC's Solicitor General as well, and currently a city councillor in the Vancouver suburb of Richmond. And so, Cash, what do you think about what Premier Ford said?
I was surprised that he'd make those comments. Certainly, this is a serious issue that we're dealing with here, and thank God the homeowner is safe and not hurt at all. But at the end of the day, we want to lower the rhetoric around this. We don't want anarchy on our streets and in our homes here in Canada, and certainly we don't want politicians irresponsibly making those statements as such. We're all frustrated at times with the justice system, and I think that's what our anger has to be directed towards. But when you start making outrageous comments as you being the premier of that particular province, it's concerning. And certainly I'm sure and I'm hoping that he feels bad about making those comments. And let's direct it the right way. Let's fix the systems that we need to fix so these people aren't out and about causing havoc in society, but don't add fuel to the fire.
You know there are people out there who will love what Ford said. So let me ask you, if someone breaks into a home, shouldn't the homeowner be able to shoot them?
Well, the homeowner is able under the laws here in Canada. Let's remember, we're in Canada, not in the United States. The laws are somewhat different here in Canada, and you can use whatever force is necessary to protect yourselves. But that's the force level that you must use. And once the danger has passed, you can't carry on using that force. So you have the right to protect your property, you have the right to protect your home, as long as you use the necessary force that's required for you to be safe and secure. So it's quite appropriate what the homeowner did. It's not what we want to see, but certainly to protect themselves. I've seen the video of it, and obviously there's some earmarkings of the person had a firearm with them. The homeowner who was able to get to his firearms, I'm assuming, was able to then defend himself. You can defend yourself. You can't go out on the offensive right after the danger has subsided.
You were a police officer for a long time. You know about firearms. You know about the adrenaline that starts pumping in an emergency situation. So let me ask you about this scenario. It's the middle of the night. A homeowner's in bed. They hear someone breaking in. So they reach, I don't know, underneath the bed for their gun, and they head to the door. What are the risks in that scenario?
Well, first of all, the homeowner can't sleep with his firearm under his bed, or if he or she did do that, the risks are paramount, because we've seen unfortunate incidents just to the south of us where people have been in dire straits and have gone to the wrong house, gone into the wrong house, or tried to get into the wrong house, where they've lost their lives as a result of that. The circumstances are different here, and I understand that. But given the scenario you're putting in front of us, the disregard for what is actually happening and the due regard for what needs to take place has to be taken by the person that's in possession of the firearm. So it's a dynamic situation, and all situations are not the same. But if you can look at some of the scenarios with respect to that, it's a very volatile situation that you put yourself in at that particular time.
And what about for the responding police officers, a situation that in your career you've been in? How would you be responding? I assume it gets complicated if you're thinking a homeowner is inside that house ready to shoot.
Very complicated, because we've seen people, and from the video that I saw, it appears that the suspects use the words police, and we know people are using uniforms or discarded uniforms or fake uniforms to try and get into houses, so we confuse the homeowner even more so. There are certain precautions that police now put in place, for example, having the dispatcher call the home and say the police will be attending, as such, to make sure the homeowner, if he or she have a firearm, are able to put it away safely and come to the door and approach the police officers in a very safe manner. That is not only for the homeowner's safety, but certainly for the police officers that are responding in an emergency situation.
Cash, let's finish with this. What advice do you have for individuals who are fearful of a break-in, of a home invasion happening to them?
Take all precautionary measures to protect you and your loved ones while you're in the house. If it is by arming yourselves, certainly arm yourselves. But again, don't listen to some of the rhetoric out there as what we're referring to here, where you should have taken a few extra shots to protect yourself. Use as much force as necessary to protect yourself and the loved ones, and that's it.
Kashid, really nice talking to you. Thanks.
Thank you.